Hello. Hi, I'm so welcome to Watch Moths and to Watch Moths as part of the Moths to a Flame project. I'm currently speaking to you through a horrible window thingy right now. Hello. So the Moths to a Flame project is a project that is being developed and created by the Art and Energy Collective, which is a group of artists like ourselves and creatives and makers and engineers and laser cutters and all sorts of people who are working together to do something, act in the face of the climate emergency, trying to make the world a better place to live in whatever way that we can. So we're working in partnership with Plymouth Energy Community, who've been with us on the journey all the way, and we are particularly grateful for Arts Council funding and also some funding from Crowdfunder, which happened about 6 months ago, and that makes this whole project possible. And so some of you have heard us say this before, but this is a Moths to a Flame is a mass participation art installation that is going to be installed in Glasgow Botanic Gardens during COP26. And it's involving thousands of communities now, maybe I'm exaggerating, but hundreds of communities now, but we're aiming to make 20,000 moths, and we're also collecting those messages of hope and calls to action. We're recording those, and together they will form the artwork that we're taking from here all the way up through the UK, up into Scotland. Well, Watch Moths is a wonderful thing for us. We hope that you enjoy it. It's a wonderful thing for us because it's got us looking at moths more carefully and getting to understand their natural history. And some people ask us, why moths? Well, we use moths because they are attracted to light, attracted to that, well, as we've described, the flame, which is an energy that is as destructive as it is useful. And humans behave in this way as well. And so we love that metaphor, and that is what we're exploring. But we also recognize that the actual ecosystem that moths live in, the natural energy that they use, and the impact of the weather and the climate has a big effect on moths. And that too is a thing to reflect on in terms of the way we live in the future and the way we use renewable energy. So tonight we've got this amazing group of people, well, we think so, amazing group of people, some mothers, some people that have been mothing with us through the whole journey, and also some others that have been working with communities on energy schemes. And I'm going to go through these and just introduce them and say hello to them so that you know who they are, and also to encourage you to get onto the chat and ask them questions. So we have Simon Bates down in Exeter, live and outside. Hi, Simon.
Oh, good evening.
Where are you this evening?
I'm on the Riverside Valley Park in Exeter.
Oh.
There's an amazing song thrush just hammering out. It's just beautiful.
Oh.
Hopefully you'll hear that later.
Yeah, it's nice, thanks. We'll come to you in a minute and hear more. And then we've got Clare Mains, who isn't actually on site, but she is on film, and she comes from the Plymouth Energy Community, so she'll be talking to us. And we have George Tordoff from the Butterfly Conservation, who is based in South Wales. And we see this as Moths to a Flame beginning its journey up north, landing in Wales. So hello, George.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, and you're good. You're outside in your garden, I see there.
In the garden now, yes, ready for ready for the evening, and it's be switching my moth trap on in a couple of hours, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice to see you and welcome to Watch Moths. And I'm particularly interested whether you're going to have different moths than the ones that are in Exeter. I don't know. You might have different weather, but you might have different moths as well. So we look forward to that.
Good, excellent. Thank you.
Great. And we've got Jacqui Stubbings as well from Cheltenham, and Jacqui single-handedly is being a volunteer delivering moths to a flame all on her own to schools and the local community. Hello, Jacqui.
Hello. Hi, I was in my garden, but I've had to come in. But yes, I've been doing that, and I've got my trap set up tonight as well.
Yeah,
So
I know you, and you have a child or two who are a bit interested in moths.
I do, yes, they're very interested. So I've got one dressed up as a white ermine somewhere, but I think he's fluttered off for the moment. But
I look forward to seeing him later.
Yeah.
And then we have Vanessa Becker-Hughes from Wedmore. Hello, Vanessa. Hi.
Hello, everyone. Lovely to be here.
Yeah.
I'm from Wedmore, Green Wedmore, and I'm at home in my home office, but right beside me, I have got my moth trap ready to put up later.
Yeah, great.
It's my special battery that I use at home that I charge it up off of our solar, but I can talk a bit more about that later.
Yeah, no, we look forward to hearing that. Thanks, Vanessa. And Sonya Bedford, who's an energy specialist and wears all sorts of hats, don't you, Sonya? But you're in Wedmore as well.
Yes, I'm in Wedmore and representing our zero carbon Wedmore project tonight and some of the energy work that we've been doing. But yes, few hats. Lovely to see everybody, and I'm not outside, but it looks really nice where everyone else is.
Yeah. Anyway, hello, and we'll see you later. Thank you. And we have Tess Walsh. Has Tess arrived, Jenny?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm so sorry. I had some technical.
No, it's great that you're there. We have we do in these Watch Moths occasionally we have our presenters sort of turning up when we least expect it and going away when we least expect it as well. So it's really nice to see you, Tess. Thanks. Yeah. And we is there anyone I've forgotten? I think I've forgotten Chloe. Hello, Chloe.
Hi, nice to see you, Naomi.
Yeah.
And also I spotted that John is here as well.
Oh, great. Hello, John. John Walters.
Hi there, Naomi. I remember this. I've been asleep actually because I've been up since about 4 o'clock, but I did remember to wake up and I'm here now. So.
Yeah, well, it's nice to see you, and you can tell us a bit more about what you've been doing today, what you've been studying all day.
Yeah. I've had a busy, I'm busy all the time, but yeah, a long day.
Yeah. Well, go to bed as soon as this is finished. That's
no, I'm fine now. I slept for about an hour.
Oh, good. All right. Well, it's lovely to meet everybody, and this particular Watch Moths is celebrating National Insect Week. It's been National Insect Week all week, and if you haven't looked on their website and their Facebook site, go on there because it has some amazing, just amazing activities, information, projects, and everything and anything you can think about insects. And their little hashtag is the little thing, something like hashtag the little things that run the world, and we'll apply that to moths tonight. And it's also Community Energy Fortnight as well. It's the end of that too, and Community Energy England has this fortnight where it promotes communities setting up their own renewable energy schemes and understanding how they can make the most from that. And Sonya will tell us a bit more about that later. So we've got a lovely wide range of interests and specialisms tonight, and thank you all for coming and joining in with it. And I said I was going to speak less this time in order to give you all more time, but anyway, let's quickly go over to Simon and see what he has to show us. Hello, Simon.
Hey, good evening. Yeah, welcome everybody. Right, so let's give you your geography. Hang on a second, let's just swing us around here. Right, so I'm in Exeter on the Riverside Valley Park. I wish I could get rid of these pop-ups that keep coming. That direction is COP26, and a little closer is Exeter Cathedral. And if I swing around here, that direction is the Cape of Good Hope. Or, you know, slightly closer, the Trews Flood Relief Channel, part of the Exeter Flood Defence Scheme, and the river is just over the trees over there. So I'm actually on one of the flood banks here, which the Environment Agency have sown some nice wildflowers on. There's lots of oxeye daisies and there's knapweeds to come out a bit later. And there's some nice red clover down there. What have we got? We've got some bird's foot trefoil there. So a really nice mixture of wildflowers on the bank. So that should be good for moths and insects and butterflies. So I'm Simon. I should say that I'm a director now. Oh gosh, I've always wanted to say that. I'm a director of a community interest company that we've set up to manage orchards that we've created along the river here. Let me just swing around so you can look at me for a bit. So this is a community scheme, and it was led by artist Anne-Marie Culhane, who lives at Exmouth, and she's very passionate about food and environment. And she co-designed with the community 3 orchards along the river. So we call it Flow Project because the orchards stretch for 5 kilometres along the river. And this is very much an orchard for the future. It's all about climate change. We've got a really rich diversity of fruits and nuts here, and I'll show you some of those varieties in a second. So let me just swing around again. So there's the orchard, and you can see it's next to some houses there, and I'm just going to dive down the bank. The grass has been trimmed because we're actually having a celebration tomorrow. We're having a picnic and a walk along from Exwick all the way to Double Locks. So you can see my trap here. That's where I'm going to run my trap. I've got it in the sort of shelter of this hedge, and there's a big hazel tree there. I mustn't forget the sculpture. So as part of the orchards, there's 3 insect sculptures that have been created by James Bond. Yes, the James Bond. You didn't think you were going to get 007 tonight. And these are made out of Cornish oak, and they are designed to be homes for wildlife. And I absolutely love this one because it's a little bit like, I think, it's a bit like the moai from Easter Island. I think his idea here was to try and sort of reflect the houses over the other side in the design of these. So these are all black and blocky. If I zoom in, you can see some of the holes that the solitary bees have made. There was a wasp earlier on scraping off the wood. And hopefully you can see up there that there's holes in the blocks for more bees and wasps. So quickly, I need to tell you a little bit about what types of fruit we've got. We've got cob nuts, so Kent cob, that one. We've got damsons. Another type of damson just here. And then we've got an apricot. So what's interesting is this tree looks really healthy, but as you can see, there's absolutely no fruit on it at all. No doubt because of the fairly standard wet, cold spring that we've had. What type is it? So I need to show you this as well. So this is the booklet, which tells you exactly what trees are where. And this was produced by Joe Salter, another local artist. And I'm going to use it as my crib sheet. So we've got an apricot there. That's variety Tomcot. And then there's a variety called Goldcot here.
And Simon, can anyone pick these and have a bit of a feast?
Yeah, good question. So the idea is that this is food for people and for wildlife. And booklet we say, you know, we've got guidance on what to pick when, what's ripe when. We talk about bletting even for the meddlers, you know, so they need to have a bit of winter frost to ripen them. So yes, but we say to people, you know, only take when it's ripe, only take what you need, and leave something for the wildlife as well. So I said it's a orchard for the future, and here we have some olives.
So you have considered the temperature change ahead then?
Well, of course, you know, hopefully the apricots and the olives never thrive. That would be success, wouldn't it?
Yes, when we keep the temperature down.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. And then how are you going to protect your moth trap over the?
I am slight trepidation about it.
Are you camping there?
No, I'm just gonna let it run. It's not a very powerful light on mine, and I'm hoping that people walking across on that bank there are there because they're just enjoying nature and stuff, and are not going to bother with my light trap. I'm hoping there's no youths drinking down here tonight.
Well, cross fingers.
Yeah,
Simon, that's a great intro to where you are, and then we're really looking forward to seeing what moths you find and a little bit more about the forest tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it'll be the first time anyone's run a moth trap down here, so I'm not sure whether I mean George and Richard might have something to say about potential moths connected with things like apricots and almonds and exotic things like that.
Oh, well, that would be interesting to see. So thank you very much, and we'll move on, but please carry on joining in, as it were. And people have been talking about the woods on the chat, so that's thank you, Simon. We're now going to have Clare Mains speaking on a little film because she couldn't be here, unfortunately. And obviously Plymouth Energy Community are a very lively community energy group in Plymouth, and they do a whole range of things in relation to our future. So perhaps Jenny's going to play it and let her speak. I'll turn myself off.
Hello Naomi, thank you for asking me to send a video in my absence. I am sat in my garden. As you can see, it's a beautiful day, and I'm here in Community Energy Fortnight. I work with Plymouth Energy Community as a project manager, and although community energy organisations are all very different, I thought I'd give you a quick overview of what it is we do, in the hope that you might go out and try and discover what's happening in your area and maybe even join in. Plymouth Energy Community started in 2013 when the council realised that it was going to take a movement to address fuel poverty and also the carbon emissions in the city. So it's an independent organisation that was set up with volunteers and founder members, and then went on to develop in some wonderful areas which I'm not sure were wholly anticipated when it started. So when it first began, it was a fuel debt service, giving free support to people who were living in fuel poverty and couldn't afford to meet their bills, and also a switching service to try and reduce costs. And as time went on, it was a year after actually, 2014, PEC Renewables was formed. So PEC Renewables is a sister company that was looking after our interests in renewable energy. So for us, that meant putting solar onto the roofs of community buildings like schools, 21 schools to begin with, I believe, in 2014. We've had 3 share offers since. Community share offers raised the money for that. So from a low starting point, so that as many people as possible can get involved and get a fair return, but also to help us create a charitable pot where we can keep to pay that fuel poverty service that's given free to anyone who needs it. I manage the energy team. It's a group of fully trained advisors who go out and about and into homes. We've been working from a distance, as you can imagine, for a little bit of the time, but we're getting out and about again now, who offer really person-centred, one-to-one support, and they've supported thousands of people since the time that we were formed. Our biggest solar array came along, so this is Ernie Settle, 4.1 megawatts of solar power, ground-mounted, on ex-landfill, so we couldn't do anything else with the site itself. It's also next to MOD land, so there's only a few things that it could be used for. It again generates income for the community, and helps to lower carbon. And around 2017, whilst we were doing a project to support people living with disability and also in fuel poverty, we started to discover that creativity and creative methods of helping people we're coming up with all sorts of benefits that we hadn't anticipated. Our aim is to create a fair and an affordable zero carbon energy system with people at its heart, and people for a long time have been very hands-off and at the whim of it rather than in control of it. So that was the start of our relationship with Chloe and Naomi and Jenny and the creative sector, which has brought us here to Moths to a Flame, and bringing people together to send messages of hope and suggestions to the leaders who will be gathering at COP26. Most recently, we've developed Peck Homes, which will see us branching out into delivering zero carbon and truly affordable homes on land that was already earmarked for development. And I'm not sure anyone could have anticipated that at the beginning back in 2013. Hope you're having a lovely evening, and I'll see you soon. Thanks again. Bye.
You're muted, Naomi.
Yeah, I know. Here we are. We're all allowed to do it. So thank you very much, Claire. That is a lovely introduction to Plymouth Energy Community, and hopefully in the ones following this, we'll expand on some elements of what they're doing, and we can talk excitedly about all of us going up to Glasgow, because Peck are joining us up there as well for some of the time, and having a launch as such. So we have Jenny next. Jenny, you were going to tell us a bit about how to make moths. We were going to try, as we flowed through all this year and gradually worked our way up north, to show you different ways of joining in, and this is the most sort of obvious first way, isn't it, Jenny?
It is. I'm just pulling a face because my computer isn't quite doing what I thought it was going to do, but I think I can share this video. So I'm going to share a video now of how to make your moths to add to the installation. And I've got a range of moths here that have been made and posted in. Hold on, I'm falling on the floor. So we're really excited every time we check the post, and we get more moths, from small ones to big ones with messages written on them, to ones that are colourful and decorated. We get quite a lot of questions. So maybe in a minute, if we've got time, we'll do a bit of a Q&A, or a bit of frequently asked questions, I guess. But in the meantime, I'm hoping this is going to work.
Hi, I'm Jenny from Art and Energy. We're creating a giant art installation called Moths to a Flame, which we're going to take to Glasgow for COP26. Part of that installation are these plastic moths, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make yours. You will need a pair of scissors, a marker pen, and a milk bottle. Once you've used up all your milk, just give it a really good rinse out and leave it on the draining board to dry overnight. You can also download and print a template sheet from our website. So the first thing to do is to take your plastic milk bottle and your scissors and cut a rectangle a little bit bigger than the moth that you've chosen to make. Once you've got your rectangle, lay it over the top of the drawing of your moth, and take your marker pen and trace around all the lines. And take your scissors and cut around all the lines. The great thing about this sort of plastic is that you can fold it and bend it and kind of twist it. So at the moment I've got quite a flat moth, but just by bending the wings back and curling the antenna a bit around my finger, your moth suddenly really takes on a fluttering shape. The template sheet only has 4 shapes of moth for you to choose from, but actually moths come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. So in addition to using the template sheet, you can also cut your own shapes. Start again with a rectangle of plastic, fold it in half because moths are symmetrical, and the edge where the bend is, that's going to be the body, and you can kind of picture the wings coming out from that. So I've got the body here, I've got my angular wings and my antenna. I'm going to fold the wings back to give it that bit of shape. And then I'm going to add a bit of detail. You can also have some fun with decorating your moths with a marker pen. So you can add some moth-like marks on there, and you can also write your whisper of hope onto the wings. The installation is going to be lit using UV lights, which will make our moths glow in the dark. So if you happen to have one of these UV marker pens at home, then you can always use that to add your secret message of hope. I'm going to decorate mine now.
I'm doing it now. There we go. The moths can be as big or as small as you'd like. You can colour them with marker pens. We're asking them just to be milk bottle plastic because that means we can recycle them at the end once they've fluttered up to Glasgow, come back down to Plymouth, maybe gone to a few other places. But in the longer run, we're protecting and reusing these renewable resources, or valuable resources. And really, the project with the milk bottle moths has been developed in order to make it as accessible as possible. So you can make it as complex or as simple with a milk bottle, a pair of scissors and a marker pen. And we'd really love to see what you create. And hopefully the moths that we see in the morning might inspire some designs. And the messages from the energy communities as well might inspire some messages to write on the wings.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. And if you've got any questions about making the moths and encouraging your community or working in your street or just making them at home, then go in the chat and ask, and Jenny will respond, I'm sure. And next we have Vanessa and Sonja from Green Wedmore. We'll start off with Vanessa and see what she has to say. I shall ask 1 or 2 questions. Hello, Vanessa.
Hello, everyone. Lovely to be here.
Yeah.
It's really exciting because with our group in Green Wedmore, we've got lots of energy projects, and we're also quite keen mothers as well. So it's really lovely that you've found us so we can be part of your event. So yeah, Green Wedmore. Shall I talk a little bit about what we do?
Yeah, that would be lovely. And then we move into Sonja's energy film. So yeah, it would be lovely to have an introduction to Green Wedmore, and then tomorrow we'll have a bit, more time to look at.
Of course. Well, we've been going for 14, 15 years, something like that. And our village, we're a very rural village. Just to get an idea of our patch, there's about 2,000 houses within our village. And quite a few years ago now, we launched our zero carbon project, which is what we've been working on quite intensely. We're quite a dynamic group, and that will hopefully by 2030 bring our village to zero carbon. And to achieve that, we've split ourselves into sort of 6 groups within the group to look at all different ways of how we can achieve those ambitious aims. We've done so many projects. I can't talk about them all tonight, but we've got them on our website if you want.
You might want to come back.
Maybe. But I thought I'd just cherry pick a couple of little projects so people get an idea of sort of what we're up to and where we are right now. Currently, we're promoting our own Wedmore solar package. So anyone within the parish boundary can take advantage of this solar package we've put together, and the package includes a discounted equipment. It includes a council-backed finance package, which makes it highly accessible for anyone that owns a property to install solar, which I really like. You know, it doesn't matter if you haven't got to have cash in the bank to make use of this to reduce your carbon. And we're using a local installer who's put that package together. So it's very ambitious, and we're looking for 1,000 rooftops to have solar on by 2030. So the first installs are happening within a couple of weeks. So we're hoping when those start happening, more and more will happen. We've had lots of surveys and lots of interest. So yeah, it's really exciting, and that'll really help us with reducing our carbon within the village. We're also producing a local cookbook where we've got lots of local recipes given to us by village groups. And we've asked people to focus on local food that you can get from local growers and producers. So having a real focus on food miles. So we're looking at, you know, importing asparagus from Peru versus local greens, and you know, having those sorts of conversations. So it's a food miles one, and that's being delivered by the food group. Also in our village, we've got our famous solar farm, which it was commissioned quite a few years ago now, but it was really the idea and the motivation came from Green Wedmore, and various meetings were put on. And from that, some members of Green Wedmore decided to actually run with the project and set up a company and deliver the project for a cooperative, which it exists within the village, and on a good day it supplies maybe up to 300 homes with beautiful electricity from our Wedmore sunshine. And it's a cooperative, so you know, everyone has a vote on it and on decisions to be made, and over the 27-year lifespan there's a community grant that's estimated to pay out up to £500,000. So you know, that ticks so many boxes. It's a great project, and when we commissioned it, it was the second largest solar community solar farm in the UK. So yeah, that was a really lovely project to be involved in.
That sounds amazing, Vanessa.
Yeah, it was,
I'm going to divert you onto your moth trap a little bit, just for us to see
I've
your.
got it here.
Yeah.
It's a very simple moth trap. It doesn't have, it's a mobile trap, so I can take it anywhere, and it's been to the beach, it's been to woodlands and forests and everywhere. But the lovely thing about it is that I run the bulb from a battery that I charge from our solar array at home. We've got quite an old house, and sometimes older houses, people think you can't put solar on, but you know, you can if you do it in the right way. So we generate power and we charge up the battery to run the moth trap. And I look forward in the morning to be able to share some things that have come into the trap in the garden. We wanted to run this from our new community woodland, the food forest, which is a really lovely place, but we don't have any form of reception or Wi-Fi there. So I've had to do that from home. But yeah, and listening earlier to the other community woodland. There's a lot of similar aims that we have that also that woodland has too. You know, it's a community site, it's permaculture, so it's run with as little sort of involvement or interference by humans. It's very much wildlife focused. We think about the soil, we think about the air, you know, we think about it all holistically, and it's not just down to high yield and how you can manipulate and prune and get as much fruit and nuts as possible. It's about nature and loving nature, and it's a lovely place that we can go and spend some time. So
that's brilliant. Well, and I think thank you, Vanessa, for beginning to introduce. We can have a bit more tomorrow if we may, because we need to pop over to Sonya and see the film of all the different energy sites in your village. So we'll do that, and we'll come back to you tomorrow, Vanessa. I think we will hand over to Jenny to manage the tech. And it's, I don't know, it's such a brilliant place, Wedmore, I reckon. We'll see.
Hi, my name is Sonya and I'm the Vice Chair of Green Wedmore, and I'm also responsible for our Zero Carbon Wedmore Energy Group. And this evening I'm going to show you a few of our solar installations, and also the first thing that we're coming to see tonight is the Wedmore Community Power Solar Farm, which is just behind me with the sheep grazing underneath it. The solar farm was installed and constructed in 2014 by a group of local volunteers, and was there's 4,000 solar panels, and it's a megawatt solar farm site, which is enough to power 300 homes. The site, as you can see, has been sheep grazed for a number of years, and it had a native hedge planted around it in 2013 when it was constructed, which has grown up beautifully and covers the solar farm really lovely and helps the biodiversity in the area. The Community Power Co-op claimed the feed-in tariff. It was a very early solar farm, and so they have some profits each year which they put back through into community grants, which anyone in the parish of Wedmore can apply for their community projects. And so far the Community Power Co-op has donated through its grant funding a significant amount of money. So not only do we have the beautiful renewable energy generation getting people off the reliance of fossil fuels, we also have a lot of money being spent and recirculated locally. Welcome to Wedmore Bowls Club. 2 years ago, Green Wedmore were able to facilitate putting solar panels on both the roofs of the Bowls Club and the tennis club, which you can hear behind. We were very kindly donated solar panels from Next Energy, and so we had them free of charge, and we had the help of a local installer to put them on the roofs, and they are now generating electricity for both the Bowls Club and for the tennis club, and allowing them to have the use of free electricity in their facilities. So it was a really generous gift from a local solar farm developer, but also enabled the clubs to have big energy savings and to use the solar generation during the daylight hours. We are hoping to look to put some more solar panels. As you can see, it's quite a big and perfect roof behind us, and we're looking to potentially add another 50 solar panels onto the roof to increase the generation, and also potentially looking at some battery storage as well to help facilitate evening use of the Bowls Club and the Tennis Club, both of which also have social facilities. There's also a sports pavilion close by here, which also has quite a large solar installation on it as well. So we're trying to facilitate all of the community roofs within the parish and helping them with their solar. Welcome to Wedmore Village Hall. About 3 years ago, Green Wedmore facilitated the installation of a 4 kilowatt solar system and a Tesla Powerwall battery in the Village Hall. This was a new thing for the Zero Carbon Wedmore project by adding a battery to a solar installation. The project was funded through Wedmore Community Power Op giving a grant, and also through a Viridor grant and Next Energy facilitation as well. The battery, which is housed in the shed at the side of the village hall, works really effectively. So when the solar is generating, as it is right now, the battery will be soaking up the electricity generation and storing it for use when the village hall is having one of its evening activities. The village hall is really, really well used, and so the electricity bills were quite high here. So having the battery and the solar generation has worked really, really well for this installation, and I think it's something that we want to try a lot more within some of the other community buildings that are both used during the day and in the evening time. I'm finishing our tour of Wedmore renewable energy installations tonight at a historic feature in the parish, the Ashton Windmill. And there is a good reason for me finishing here. But first, we've seen the solar farm, we've seen the tennis club and the bowls club and the village hall. I've missed out the schools. We've got solar also facilitated by Avalon Community Energy and Green Wedmore on the middle school and also on the first school. And we also currently have a domestic solar offer called Wedmore Solar 1000, where we're trying to install or facilitate the installation of 1,000 domestic properties with solar through a local solar installer by 2030, which is the zero carbon wearable target for net zero. The next thing for the energy group's plans is a wind turbine project. We've recently been awarded a grant from the Rural Community Energy Fund to commence our wind turbine feasibility work. We're looking to install a large 4 megawatt community turbine within the parish of Wedmore, and we're currently doing preliminary work around that. It's going to be a long project to get through, but once we've achieved that and the Wedmore Solar 1000, we can safely say that the parish of Wedmore is totally run on renewable energy. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing a few of our solar installations, and I hope you enjoy the mothing event as well.
Fabulous, Sonya. Did you enjoy making that film?
I did. I didn't enjoy watching it though. It's always painful watching yourself, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it
But
is.
yeah, it was lovely showing you, and yeah, there was so much, and I could have shown you loads more as well. But next time, the sequel, Wedmore Energy, the sequel.
Yes. Well, Wedmore's obviously got a dynamic group going, and it's a really good example of when a few people get together with the same passions, they can achieve a lot, can't they?
They can achieve so much, and it's so much fun as well being part of the group, which is why most of us love doing it, because we all get on, we all have a good time, and things happen. So yeah, it's great to be involved in.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming along and spending time making that, Sonya. We will move on back to moths now, but it's brilliant to, I hope everybody's sort of marrying in their heads the metaphor and the real moths, the energy and nature and climate change. We will go to, we've got George next in South Wales. Hi, George.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, where are you?
Good.
Where are you, and where have you set your trap up today, George?
So I'm in my garden in Cardiff. So this is quite an urban location, probably compared to most of the other contributors, I think, who've got traps set up. So I'm in the north of the city. I mean, it's not enormously urban, but it's certainly quite an urban spot within the city. So we have a reasonable sized garden for garden, which you can see in the background, and further afield there are some nice habitats, but I probably miss out on some moth species that other people would get who are trapping closer to woodland or nice meadows and that kind of thing. But over the years here, I've had about 650 species in the Garden of Moth since 2007. Wow. So it's quite a, yeah, they add up over time. There's always a few new ones even a year like this year, which hasn't been very good for moths. There's been, I think, 4 new species I've had in the garden this year. So it does add up over time. And some of those will just be one-offs that have come in from some nicer habitat further away. There's some nice woodlands just to the north of Cardiff, which are probably 4 or 5 miles away. And if we get a light northerly wind in summer, we might get some moths coming from there. And there's quite a nice bit of riverbank down by the River Taff, which is only about 400 or 500 meters away. Some nice older woodland along the river there. And so things probably come from down there as well. But the garden regulars, the really common species here, are a sort of smaller list of species than some people might get in the countryside. But over the years, it's been good. And I think it's improved, actually. I'd certainly get more moths, not so much this year, but over the last 10 years, things have built up.
Is that because
in the garden? That's probably.
I was just asking George whether that's because all the gardens near to you are being managed more for wildlife, or is it just one of those things?
I think our garden has improved quite a lot. I think it's should. A lot of the trees that are here were planted when we moved in, but they were very young. I think the previous person had put quite a few trees in. And they're now bigger trees, but we haven't put that much in ourselves. But the neighbouring gardens are our own garden. So if I can spin the camera around and just have a little bit of a, how do I do that? Why won't it come up with a? I always struggle with this. There we go.
Yeah.
Right. So we have quite a big birch tree, which was here when we moved in as a very small tree, but it's now got large. And there's a cherry tree and an apple tree down the bottom, and then a willow beyond that. And all of those trees are really good for moths. I think birch has almost as many moth species that feed on it as caterpillars as just about any other tree. It's just about as good as oak. And willow again is almost as good as oak as well. So we haven't really got room for an oak tree, but willow and birch are really good trees, and the apple tree itself has a lot of species on it, and then the cherry will have a few different ones. So I think just having a few trees in the garden makes quite a big difference, and I think that also helps screen out some of the surrounding street lights as well, just to make it a bit darker. We've got a little hazel hedge out the other side. That's another good tree for moths, quite a few species on that. And we have a few things that we just let grow as weeds around the garden. So we have a lot of in the cracks, we've got things like figworts growing just down here, which is quite a nice thing. And it doesn't have any specialist moths on it, I don't think, but we found a large ranunculus moth caterpillar on it this year, feeding on the flowers. And it always gets lots of weevils on it as well. And then we've got some nice big Viper's bugloss just growing out of the paving just beyond that, which is, again, probably better for bees than moths. It's got bees on it at the moment, and it's always covered in bees when the sun's out. And that just seems to grow really well in the crevices in the paving. So that, again, we'll probably have a few more generalist moths feeding on it as caterpillars. And there's just beyond that, we've got a verbascum that's just grown in this pot here, and there's actually a Scarlet Tiger on it at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, my daughter found that yesterday, and it's got a slightly damaged wing, so I don't know how well it can fly. It's just been sat on there all day today, but it has been quite cool and cloudy today. So that might be why it might actually be able to fly a little bit, but it has got a slightly damaged wing, unfortunately. But that's a moth that's only colonized Cardiff the last few years. It didn't used to be found here until just a few years ago, but it's now, we see them most years here. And there's my trap, which is a mercury vapor one, so it's quite bright. I don't run it that often. I mean, I run it every week, but I don't run it every night by any means. And I run it here near the house wall, and then it's kind of screened out from a lot of the neighbours. It doesn't shine in any of their windows or anything in the position it's in now, which probably wouldn't go down too well.
No, that's brilliant.
So yes, that's. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that moth trap is quite a powerful one. We've been lending moth traps to schools, which are heath traps and quite not particularly powerful. They've still caught some moths though. We'll hear a bit more about that tomorrow. But we do get quite a lot of questions, George, about what lights to use, because quite a lot of people are interested in building their own. So if there are questions about that in the chat, be good if you do know anything about it to pop in your view about what voltage UV light, because people are just getting quite interested in the tech of it.
Exactly. I think it depends a lot on the situation you're in. I'd rather run a lower wattage one so it uses less energy, but I find here with the light pollution around here, I just don't catch many moths with a lower wattage trap like an LED trap or an actinic trap. But I do use those a lot away from the garden when I go out in the woods, and I've got some batteries and I run them off batteries, and they work really well in the woods, and I get really good catches in them. But in the garden, because of the street lighting, I think around about, you need something a bit more powerful to catch. But certainly the newer technology like the UV LEDs, I've got 2 traps which are only 5 watt LEDs, and they both work really well, and they don't seem to use very much
electricity. Yeah, you're just pausing, you're just sort of
and they do get good catches in them.
Yeah, great. That's lovely. Well, thanks very much, George, for showing us around your garden, and I can see why you get a good catch, because there's so many different habitats, if you like, and little spaces and food for the caterpillars there. So thank you, and we look forward to seeing what you find tomorrow. That would be great.
Hopefully we'll get, it'll be a reasonable catch. I don't think we'll have an enormous catch. It's fairly chilly, but I suspect there'll be a lot of heart and darts at least, and hopefully a few other things as well.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you very much. And,
thank you.
And we're moving down. So we've now taken our project, if you like, up to South Wales, and now we're coming whizzing back down to Exeter to say hello to Tess Walsh, who's our youngest presenter today, and an activist, but interested in our project, aren't you, Tess?
Yeah, I'm very interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry.
And I'm going to hand over to Chloe as well. We're going to have a little chat with you.
Hello everyone. So I invited Tess to come and join us as our COP26 correspondent, because I thought it would be really interesting to have a young person's perspective of what COP26 is all about. Tess, can you tell me what you've done researching COP and what you've discovered?
So, recently I've been researching COP, and what I first approached with it were this particular COP26's 5 main campaigns, or 5 main aims that they're trying to achieve by the end of the Correspondent Party this year, and kind of how those aims will inflict on the countries around the world, also our country particularly, and what action we can actually see come from these slogans and these ideas, and you know what benefits these will have, or how likely they are to happen, and things like that. So the 5 main aims are adaptation, resilience, nature, energy transition, clean road transport, and finance. So there's really wide variety, and they really aim to tackle quite a lot of things, but also the systematic way that the world is going to develop in the very crucial upcoming years.
So you've written a lovely blog article that you've added to our website, which looks at all of them. But I wonder if you, given our special interest in energy, I wonder if you could tell us about the energy transition element first.
Yes, the energy transition is one of my favourites, being the fact that they essentially aim to be carbon neutral worldwide, but most specifically they're centering around energy transitions for developing countries that are on the precipice of industrial revolution, just as, you know, many Western countries did many centuries ago. And the political debacle, essentially, that is the developing countries' right to a high standard of living, but also the world's urge for them not to make the same mistakes that we did. So it's going to be really interesting to kind of watch these countries and hopefully all the countries cooperate and carve a new path for development of the global south, and generally reaching a standard of living that we never believed could happen before, but is hopefully will happen.
So what do you think, well, what would be your hopes for this particular COP?
So personally, my hopes centre around their second campaign, Nature, and it's not actually very attached to any specific actions, but just really calls for world leaders to centre nature around all their decisions that they're going to take, and it to be centric in everyone's aims and every step. And personally, my message of hope is that we once again, as a society and as a world, we take our part within nature, not as the rulers of it.
You recently made a video for us that we're sharing with schools about climate change and how it's affecting us in the Southwest and what young people can do about it. And you're part of the Fridays for the Future movement. Can you tell us a bit about how you got involved with Fridays for the Future?
Yeah, essentially quite a few years ago now, I just saw Greta, doing this just throughout Instagram and Twitter really. And quite a few other like-minded young people in Devon and London had the same idea, and there was just a call on social media being like, shall we do it? Shall we protest? And we went to Exeter City Council, and a group of us then, realised how many people turned out and how many more were interested, and how quickly we spread throughout social media and the news, just as Greta had done. And from that moment on, fever really spread, and we began Exeter Fridays for Future, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. And yeah, we started organising that, and then we continued with protests and political action. Yeah.
And do you have any plans for Fridays for the Future from the Southwest and COP26?
So the Southwest Fridays for Future and the whole Fridays for Future in the UK is really passionate and excited for COP26 and to be up there. And many people and my Fridays for Future peers will be speaking there, and there'll be many people taking to the streets, especially as inspiring and powerful it is when young people protest, when world leaders are about. So that will be really amazing. But our specifically to the Southwest, Exeter Fridays for Future actually wrote a Green New Deal, which you can find on our website, which quite detailed lays out a green development plan for Exeter and the surrounding areas to reach carbon neutral by 2030. So that's our main aim.
Yes, it's so inspiring hearing what you're doing. It's just amazing that a 15-year-old has already got so much to offer and so much to say. So thank you so much for all of your work so far.
No, thank you. It's so amazing to hear, especially about Green Newbury. Oh, sorry if I pronounced it wrong. But the fact that you've been running that project nearly as long as Green Wedmore, as long as I've been alive, is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Tess. And we look forward to seeing you early in the morning. Sorry, but we're going to play your video because we reckon people will really enjoy that. And it's got that school theme. So thank you. Thanks for coming on. And we're now going to go up to Cheltenham, back up to Cheltenham, and we're running a little bit late, but I'm sure most of you will stay watching for Jacqui up in Cheltenham with her moth trap and garden. Hello, Jacqui. And her child, who dressed as has your child gone to bed yet, or is he still dressed as a white ermine?
Yeah, I think he's gone to bed dressed as a white ermine actually, so hopefully he'll sleep well. But yeah, so yeah, I'm from Cheltenham, and I've just got a small urban garden, very neglected and wild. We've got some hazel, fruit trees, honeysuckles, lots of different bits and pieces. And I've been watching Watch Moths for a couple of years, really inspired by Art and Energy's project, which combines all of my interests. And I've just been keen to spread the message and build my community using it. I've got some pictures to show you. Can I share my screen with you and show those? Let's see if I can do that. Is that working?
Nearly, but not quite.
Nearly, but not quite.
Yeah, we can still see, we can't see your shared screen.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, now we can.
Okay. So I've been loaning my trap out to local families, and I've done, since the last Watch Moths, I've done 6 moth traps, and it's really interesting that even a few streets away you get completely different moths, and so that's been really cool because I've seen things I haven't seen before. I've only been doing it for about 3 years, and yeah, it's been a really nice way of getting conversation started, and I've been able to spread the activity pack for Watch Moths to all the children, and they've loved it. And I've had lots of the lots of things, bits and pieces back, all the identification sheets back, really nicely filled in from the children, so that's really cool. And I've also been part of Moth Week at school, so I got the opportunity to go in and do 5 days of light trapping at different areas around the school, mapping what moths we had, which ties in really nicely with the project they're doing, which is mapping their tree species. So we're now compiling our data and seeing what we've got. But it was lovely. I did every morning with the children unboxing a moth trap, and we made milk bottle moths together. So yeah, that was really magical. And the teachers, it's really well received. The teacher said these are the sort of magical experiences that they stay with them for life. And you know, that was really lovely feedback to have. And I think it's not just that you're observing something, it's that you're doing it to care for them. That makes all the difference. So you're, you know, it's not just like seeing an animal in a zoo or something, you're there to sort of monitor the numbers too. So that has a real impact in their psyche, I think. And this is what we found. All sorts of different moths. My favourites, Lobster Moth. Oh, what a fluff ball. Love that. And I love the names the children given as well. This is called an Ewok moth, the Lobster Moth, and the pale tussocks are called Ewoks. The white ermine is a bunny moth. It looks like a bunny apparently. And we had a plume as well. And that the children said, oh, it's a fairy. It's a fairy. They love that. So I just love seeing it through their eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, there's my nerdy list of looking at all the larvae of them all, which is incredible. Oh, I've gone through. So yeah, and then I was in preschool last week, so just this week, sorry, doing the same thing. And just to finish, what I'm doing next is I'm just loading my trap out. Hoping to do more events. I've done some posters and things which I've put up in notice boards, so I'm just kind of contacting various people, and yeah, so watch this space. So that's that.
Lovely.
So there we go.
Thanks.
And I've got some moths to show you if you'd like.
Yeah,
do you want to finish with some moths?
and then we need to go to John before he goes back to sleep.
Oh yeah, early start. So there we go, buff tip. I caught him last night. So
yeah, amazing.
Looks like just like a stick. And got a magpie as well here. So if you can see that one. That's beauty.
Yeah.
So pretty.
Mm.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They stay still and rest like that.
Yeah. The geometrics are usually quite fluttery, but yeah, perhaps they'll start waking up now the sun's going down. So I've got my trap out in the garden. I've got a Robinson 20-watt trap, so I'll be putting that out. So hopefully I'll show you if I found anything in the morning.
That's great. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning, and maybe a white ermine woken up person.
Yeah.
And thank you very much. And we now finally go over to John. He did send us a little film earlier. Was that for now or for the morning, John?
Oh, for the morning, yeah. That was why I was up at 4, because I had to go and check the trap before the birds get to it.
Oh yeah.
So I said it last night, just at a friend's place up the road, and I got up at 4 o'clock and cycled up there and checked the trap. There's quite a lot of stuff in there, so you'll see that in the morning. I've got a couple of caterpillars to show you. Remember last time I had the Pus Moths which were hatching. And I don't know if you can see this. I'll get a light on it, and then you can probably see it pretty well. That's the Pus Moths now. So they laid some eggs, and the caterpillars are getting right up to the camera there.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
You can. I thought they're so fantastically camouflaged. I thought they were leaves.
Yeah, you think it's like a bit of a leaf. Yeah. So I've got about 50 of those.
Wow.
And I've also got a caterpillar which never seems to stop feeding, actually. It's a thing I've had all winter. It's a thing called a Lapid Moth. And the caterpillar in the winter, it just sits on it, eats blackthorn, and it just sits on the blackthorn twig. I had them out in the garden, and it keeps growing. It's actually one of the biggest caterpillars. I don't even see it. It just looks like a twig. You just see it there.
Huge.
Yeah. The light on it. It's absolutely huge. It's about the size of one of my fingers. And the Lapid moth is, hopefully you'll get the moth to hatch at some point, and the moth just looks like a dead leaf. It even blows around in the leaves, you know, just looking like a dead leaf. Quite stunning, but it's quite a big moth. It's actually one of our biggest moths, because this is a bit of like a hawk moth caterpillar size.
Yeah.
So,
I was just going to say, how big is this moth that you're talking about?
it's quite a chunky big thing, yeah. It's a quite a proper big moth. So hopefully that, I mean, I keep thinking it's not going to eat anymore, but it only feeds at night, this caterpillar. During the day, it just sits on a twig on the base of a blackthorn, and then it climbs up at night, eats, and then goes back and sits on the twig. So hopefully that will make a cocoon soon, and then the moth will hatch in due course, and we'll show you the moth. So that's all for, I've seen some, well, I've been working on bees actually, so I haven't been working today, but just out in the garden. There's a cameraman come down, and we've been filming all sorts of bees, mainly wool carder bees, which are flying at the moment, and leaf cutter bees, which are nesting in my bee hotel. I've got about 3 or 4 species nesting in there at the moment. So we've been filming those on a special camera, which films up to 1,000 frames a second. So we've got some amazing shots of things, which you just, it's like a blink of an eye, you see something moves, and then we slow it down, and it's absolutely fantastic. So we've got some brilliant shots of those. And lots of scarlet tigers, as George showed his scarlet tiger. If you grow comfrey in your garden anywhere, I've got a whole patch of Russian comfrey, and if you just plant that in your garden, you'll get scarlet tiger moths. I've got loads. I mean, they're all flying around the garden this evening. They tend to fly late afternoon, but the garden's full of them at the moment. So plant a patch. It does take over a bit sometimes, so you might want to sort of curtail it a bit, but put it in a big pot or something. But if you grow comfrey, you'll get scarlet tiger moths.
Oh, well, that's a good tip. I've got a bit by my compost bin, but has anyone else got any scarlet tigers in their garden? You can let us know in the chat. But well, thank you, John. And do you think when you're not raising caterpillars and moths and looking at moths, are the bee species your next love?
Oh, I'm into all sorts.
Is it just everything that you like?
I've been watching, that's the trial, that's why I'm up out all hours. But yeah, I've been watching, someone showed me a tree pipit nest with a cuckoo egg in it yesterday, which was nice. So I'm going to go back and watch that. I've been watching wood warblers. There's still a handful of pairs left on Dartmoor. I'm not doing too well. I watched some redstart chicks the other day. I've been going all over the place, so out all hours. That's why I just sleep occasionally. I just get tired, sleep, I'll wake up again. But I'll be up early again tomorrow. So. And I will remember tomorrow. I've set my alarm, because last time I remember I was busy doing something else, and suddenly remembered that I was meant to be on the watch moth. So I've set my alarm, so I will remember tomorrow. Brilliant. And I've written myself a big note as well.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much, John. And we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll hopefully see everybody else that's come along tomorrow morning as well. And I think I don't know about you, but I've really enjoyed this evening finding out about the community energy projects that are going on and how they're linked into the natural areas that people are planting up. And we will find and see the moths revealed in the morning with our Moth-ers. And I think Chloe might be setting a trap tonight as well in her garden.
I've got my trap here ready to go. It's just about to go outside.
Great. Okay, well, thank you to all the presenters, and thank you, audience, and see you tomorrow then. Thank you.
Just a reminder, it's the same link for tomorrow morning to join us back again. We'll see you then.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Simon. Bye, everybody. Bye, Tess. Bye, Ken.
Chloe, please could you stop recording?